Hi there. I'm a psychologist who works with both men and women, and one of the main focuses I work is couples therapy. I help people navigate love, relationships, and dating. Something I have been noticing in recent years is how many men feel lost in how they relate to women. We are living in a time where women, freed from the weight of patriarchy, have stepped into greater vitality, confidence, and self-expression. They have learned to take up space, to own their desires without apologies. But men have often responded to these changes in two ways: anger and resistance, or a quiet depression. As the traditional roles that once gave them identity and worth crumble, many are thrown into crisis. Some feel a fleeting relief, but most struggle to find new ways to connect and build meaningful relationships. So, the real question is, how do you let go of what once made you feel valuable, even if it came at a personal cost? And what new forms of masculinity can take place now? Modern masculinity often feels hollow, like a fragile shell. Many men keep their emotional investment low to avoid loss. They dodge responsibility, they stay vague, they avoid initiative. They chase excitement, but it fades as quickly as a swipe on Tinder. They postpone intimacy, they bristle with desire, and they find real emotional connection overwhelming. Some have retreated into a radical individualism that strips empathy from freedom, treating others as disposable. Ghosting, detachment, open love or open relationships without care, it's a new form of objectification dressed as liberation. And others are stuck in an in-between stage, shredding the old patriarchal script, but unsure how to build a new one. And yet, most men long for love. They crave connection, but they don't know how to hold it. We can't just blame or mock them. Women still love men. Many are raising sons who will become men. So we have to look deeper at what is really underneath this shift. Most men today are frustrated. That's the truth. They are hurting. And in that hurt, they often hurt others. It's easy to assume malice, but what about the pain they carry? What is actually happening beneath the surface? Just like women had to push through a messy, transformative path, men also need awareness. They need support and safe spaces to speak openly if they are ever going to move past this emotional paralysis. Many, they reach midlife feeling empty, disconnected, alone. And yet, love can be the doorway that helps them see how limiting the old version of masculinity really is. Relationships today can be a space for profound growth, but only if men confront themselves in ways they are never been asked to before. Here is what matters now. In the fight against patriarchy, men can't stay in the sidelines, offering distant solidarity. They need to step fully in to see themselves in the mirror of this work, to take part in this transformation, not only because they are part of the problem, but because they also suffer under a system that is emotionally numb them. Think back in the feminism in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Women name the violence and oppression they endure. They express their rage. They demanded men to deconstruct themselves. But what didn't happen was true dialogue. Men were left without spaces to reflect, to connect with each other, or to build support for change. So today we are seeing the consequences of that absence. I'm often asked why women go to therapy, why they are open to self-reflection, why men stay closed. And in my opinion, the truth is, for anyone to change, there must be a baseline awareness of self, a willingness to turn discomfort into growth. Because without that, they can't even see the harm they cause. How many men were raised to question themselves, to feel deeply without fear? How many spaces exist where straight men can safely express vulnerability? And when they do, how often is their sensitivity genuinely welcome? When men fall in love today, their masculinity collides with something it's never been prepared for: vulnerability. Masculinity has been built around showing strength, conquering, taking risk. But love leaves them exposed. It demands care, tenderness, emotional connection, skills they were rarely taught. Many women think men don't care, but that ignores the deep sadness that many carry. Plenty of men want to change, but they have no idea where to start. They want love, but they were never taught how to truly love. From early childhood, especially in adolescence, boys are told, quietly but powerfully, to distance themselves from tenderness. Becoming a man means swallowing your emotions. And over time, they lose the ability to even recognize their deeper feelings. They can't articulate what is inside. They can't resolve conflict with empathy. The more anxious they feel about intimacy, the more distance they create. So, emotional withdrawal becomes their main defense, even against the closeness they crave. Women today no longer settle for the bare minimum. We lose patience with men. We lose patience with men who isolate, who won't communicate, who stay vague and ambiguous. But even after breakups, little real learning seems to happen. Conflict often triggers anger, a childlike fear of abandonment, and a cynicism that only drives them further from the love they want, but can't sustain. To love fully, you can't see it just as a feeling. It's a conscious action. Care, responsibility, open conversation, awareness of the other person's needs. When women ask for emotional care, most men raised on rigid roles like provider don't even understand what is being asked. So this emotional gap shows up in their sexuality too. For many, sex becomes a way to feel emotional emptiness, a distraction from loneliness. But mechanical, disconnected sex erodes intimacy and leaves everyone feeling more distant. This isn't just about men's responsibility to fix alone, guys. We all have a part in increasing and creating spaces for real dialogue. When men try to express discomfort or fear and no one listens, their isolation deepens. What silence only reinforces the same patriarchal masculinity we want to dismantle. That is why it's crucial to engage men in open, honest conversations. If feminism doesn't create dialogue, the political right will happily step and promise men a return to an even harsher version of masculinity, fueled by resentment and hate. So be careful with that. We need to be careful with that. But let me be clear, we can't do the work for them. If only one person in a relationship is creating safety and connection, the whole power dynamics stays the same. Masculinity isn't just a men's issue, just like feminism isn't only for women. We need to find common ground and build a culture of reconciliation. We can't write men off as hopeless or decide we are better off without him, especially when we are raising sons who will become men. We need new models of masculinity rooted in care, in tenderness, in empathy. We need to see how patriarchy blocks men from knowing themselves, from connecting with their feelings, and from developing their capacity to love. Right now, we need to face the sadness that lives inside so many men. We need spaces where they can express pain, trauma, and the disconnection they carry from their fathers. No one transforms without self-awareness, without facing what they feel. Most men are still haunted by the fear of failing to live up to this hyper-masculine ideal they were taught to worship. We need new ways of being men because the old model is destroying their well-being, their relationships, and their ability to love. So, for men to truly love, they must first learn how to feel without seeing feeling as a threat to who they are.